Okay, so get this. You've probably heard the saying, you are what you eat, right?
Right.
But what if I told you you are what you wear? Might be a thing too.
Interesting.
Yeah, we're going deep today on the possible connection between like ancient biblical rules about fabrics
Okay.
and what modern science is discovering about energy.
Wow.
Yeah, our listener sent in this essay called The Ancient Wisdom of Fabrics, Biblical Commandments and Modern Science Unite.
Mm-hmm.
And I just say the title alone had me hooked. So we're diving into some seriously intriguing stuff today.
Yeah.
So the essay starts by looking at the Bible,
Okay.
specifically Leviticus 19.1 and Deuteronomy 22.11.
Right.
Now, I'm no biblical scholar,
Sure.
but these verses really jumped out at me. They forbid the mixing of wool and linen,
Okay.
like super specific. It seems so random at first glance.
It does seem random to our modern ears, doesn't it? But in the context of the time, it was actually a big deal. These verses are part of a larger set of purity laws in the Old Testament.
Right.
These laws weren't just about, like, physical cleanliness for the Israelites. They were about maintaining a separation between the sacred and the everyday, the pure and the impure.
So it's like these clothing rules were about more than just the clothes themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They were a way for the Israelites to like express their devotion and set themselves apart.
Exactly.
Okay.
And while those specific laws aren't considered binding in the same way for Christians today, as we see in Romans 7.6,
All right.
it doesn't mean there's nothing to learn from them. The essay points out that the high priest's garments were actually a mix of linen and wool, according to Exodus 28.6. It's almost like a contradiction.
Right. So if mixing wool and linen was such a no-no, why was the high priest, like the most important religious figure, allowed to wear them together?
Right.
It's like saying don't wear a uniform unless you're the general.
Mm-hmm.
What's the deal with that?
That's the fascinating part. It all comes down to symbolism and context. The high priest's clothing was incredibly symbolic, representing his unique role as a mediator between God and the people. Those rules about mixing fabrics weren't arbitrary. They were part of a complex system of meaning.
Okay, so it's like wearing a business suit to a meeting
Right.
versus, say, showing up in a T-shirt and jeans. The clothes send a message.
Yeah.
Right. But here's where I really started to geek out. The essay connects this ancient wisdom about fabrics to what modern science is discovering about energy. I found this absolutely fascinating, the idea that our clothes might actually have a measurable impact on us beyond just how they look and feel.
It's true. Our bodies, everything around us, even our clothes, are constantly emitting energy vibrating at certain speeds.
Okay.
We call those speeds frequencies.
Okay, wait, hold up. Frequencies.
Hmm.
You're talking about like sound waves and stuff.
Yeah, it's not exactly sound waves, though. That's a good way to think about it.
Okay.
Everything in the universe vibrates.
Okay.
From the smallest atom to the largest star.
Wow.
And each thing has its own unique frequency, its own rate of vibration. And these vibrations, they can subtly influence each other.
So you're saying my T-shirt is like vibrating at me right now. That's kind of wild.
It is interesting, isn't it?
But how do we even know that? How do you measure the frequency of a shirt anyway?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
The essay talks about the work of Dr. Heidi Yellen.
Okay.
Back in 2003, she started measuring the frequencies of different fabrics to see if they interacted with the human body's energy field.
And did she find something? Because this is sounding a little like, I don't know, science fiction-y.
What Dr. Yellen discovered is that natural fabrics,
Okay.
like cotton, linen, wool,
Yeah.
tend to resonate at frequencies that are very similar to the human body.
Okay.
We're talking about a frequency of around 100 hertz
Okay.
for things like cotton and for the human body.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're in sync.
Okay, so 100 hertz for us, 100 hertz for cotton. Everyone's vibing together.
Right.
But what about synthetics? If natural fabrics are like a chill indie band we can all groove to,
Mm-hmm.
are synthetics like heavy metal blasting at frequency our bodies just can't handle?
You're on the right track.
Okay.
Yellen found that synthetic fabrics like polyester vibrate at much lower frequencies, around 15 hertz.
Wow.
It's a pretty big difference.
Yeah.
And while we don't fully understand the implications of this yet,
Right.
it raises some fascinating questions about how these different frequencies might be affecting us.
Okay, so maybe that's why sometimes wearing synthetic fabrics just feels off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know I have that one polyester shirt that always feels kind of icky,
Yeah.
even when it's freshly washed.
Right.
Could that be because of this frequency mismatch thing?
It's possible.
Really?
Now, it's important to remember that this is still an emerging field of study.
Sure.
We need more research to fully understand the implications of these fabric frequencies on our health and well-being.
Okay.
But some scientists believe that constantly being exposed to these mismatched frequencies could be contributing to feelings of stress, discomfort, or even influencing our mood and energy levels.
Whoa. Okay, so maybe there's something to this whole vibes thing after all.
Perhaps.
Okay.
And here's where it gets even more intriguing.
Okay.
Remember we were talking about that biblical ban on mixing wool and linen?
Yeah, the whole forbidden fabric combo thing.
Right.
You're not going to tell me there's a frequency connection there too, are you?
Well, according to Dr. Yellen's research, wool vibrates at an incredibly high frequency around 5,000 hertz.
5,000?
Seriously. Wool is like the Jimi Hendrix of fabrics. So what about linen?
Linen also vibrates at around 5,000 hertz.
Wow.
Both fabrics are practically buzzing with energy,
Okay, but the Bible said no mixing.
right?
So what happens frequency-wise when you combine the two?
Here's the mind-blowing part.
Okay.
When you combine wool and linen, their frequencies seem to cancel each other out.
What?
Instead of amplifying their energy, they neutralize it.
Wait, what? Seriously? So all that potential energy just gone. Could that be why the Bible was so against it? Did they somehow know about this frequency cancellation thing thousands of years ago?
It's a pretty incredible connection, isn't it? Whether it was divinely inspired or an example of ancient wisdom stumbling upon a scientific truth, it really makes you wonder about the potential impact our clothing choices might have on us on an energetic level. Yeah. This is blowing my mind a little bit. It's like I always thought about my clothes in terms of like how they look, how they feel against my skin,
Right.
but never about their energy. So if wool and linen are like the rock stars of the fabric world,
Mm-hmm.
what about all the other fabrics out there? What should we be looking out for?
Well, the essay does specifically call out some synthetic fabrics that we might want to be mindful of.
Okay.
Polyester, acrylic, rayon, nylon.
Right.
Basically the usual suspects when it comes to fast fashion.
Okay, so like a fashion police lineup,
Mm-hmm.
but instead of like crimes of style, it's crimes against good vibes.
Think of it more like a gentle invitation to be more conscious of our choices, you know?
Okay.
Remember those low frequencies we talked about with synthetics? While more research is definitely needed, some experts believe that, like, consistently surrounding ourselves with those frequencies might not be doing us any favors in the long run.
So what you're saying is maybe my love affair with like bargain bin polyester isn't as innocent as it seems.
Right.
But let's be real, not all of us can afford to be like rocking head to toe linen and silk and stuff.
Of course.
So what's the takeaway here? Should we all be rating vintage stores for like 100% natural fibers?
It's not about going to extremes, but about being mindful, right? It's about considering our clothing choices as part of a larger system
Okay.
that includes our health, the environment, and even our connection to the natural world.
Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down. But for those of us who aren't ready to like ditch our comfy sweatpants just yet, what are some baby steps we can take to bring more of those good fabric vibes into our lives?
Well, you can start by simply becoming more aware of what your clothes are made of.
Yeah?
Check those labels. Look for natural fibers like cotton, wool, linen, silk, hemp.
Okay.
And when you do buy synthetics, maybe choose quality over quantity. Invest in pieces that are made to last.
Right.
And treat them with care so they don't end up in a landfill after a few wears.
Okay. That feels doable. Like I'm not ditching my comfy sweatpants.
Right.
But maybe I'll swap out that old polyester shirt I wear underneath for something a little more harmonious. Maybe a nice linen blend is in order.
Sounds good.
This deep dive has been a wild ride.
Yeah.
We started with like ancient biblical passages and ended up in the fascinating world of fabric frequencies.
That's right.
And you know what? I have more questions now than when we started.
It's true.
But that's a good thing, right?
I think so.
It means we're thinking critically, exploring new ideas, and maybe even looking at our closets a little differently.
Absolutely. What's important is that we keep asking questions, keep learning, and keep exploring the connections between, the things we wear and how we feel.
So to our amazing listener who sent in this essay, thank you. You've definitely given us all something to think about.
Yeah.
And to everyone listening, we want to hear from you. What really stuck with you today? Are you going to be checking those fabric labels a little closer from now on?
Yeah.
Let us know, because this is a conversation that deserves to keep going. And hey, next time you're feeling stressed or drained, maybe try changing into your favorite natural fiber outfit.
Okay.
See if you notice a difference. You might just be surprised by what you discover.
You never know.
Thanks for joining us on this fascinating deep dive. Until next time, Keep exploring the world around you and your wardrobe.